What's up, guys? I'm back. Sorry, I've been pretty busy here recently. Got married, been doing a lot of work, different stuff like that, and I haven't been able to get out in the water as much as I wanted to in the fall, and I haven't been able to film a whole lot. So I wanted to do a quick video to just say I'm back. Also, I wanted to go into this changing season. Like, here we go. We're getting into winter. I don't know, depending on where you are, maybe it's already starting to freeze, maybe it's not. I know here in Arkansas, I think we're about to get our first freeze at the time of me filming this. So what does that mean? It means that we're about to go right into wintertime bass fishing. If you're lucky, like I am, and you live down south or somewhere where the water doesn't freeze over, you can still get on the boat and you can still get out there and go fishing. If you live up north and you have to go ice fishing and all that, sorry, this video probably isn't going to be something for you. But for those of us that are lucky enough to get out on the water in the winter, this video is for you. And this is my top 3 baits that I use in the winter and have had success in the past. Now, these are not the only 3 baits that you can use to have success. This is not necessarily what everybody else would tell you. This is just my personal, based on my personal experience. And what I've had success in the past. So let's get right into it. So the very first one, and if you can't tell, if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that I use these quite a bit. That is the jerkbait. So a lot of guys get into the jerkbait in the wintertime, and it's because it works really well. The bass are pretty lethargic. The water's cold. So you need something that can start and stop and really entice some fish to bite, because with them being more lethargic, they're not going to move and they're not as aggressive as they are in the spring. So you really need a bait that can entice them and get them to bite, and jerk baits work really well for that. How I use a jerk bait, just real quick, we won't go too far into it. It's basically the opposite of my summer video. So instead of casting it out and jerking it really fast and really hard and try to rip that thing through the water, it goes back to your more traditional, pop, pop, rest, pop, 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 rest. And there's a lot of rest in there. There's a lot of, it's not very fast, it's not very aggressive. But you give this thing a couple of pops, give it time to sit there and rest. What you'll do if you're around some fish or whatever, what'll happen is you'll literally go to try to pop again, and you'll just, the slack's gone, and you feel a fish on there. So number 1, jerk bait. Don't be afraid to mess with the sizes. I actually have one tied on right now from the last time I went fishing. I've got a smaller one set up. So this one right here, this smaller one, it works really well with a medium heavy, and I've got it paired up with my Curado DC. When I go with a larger jerk bait, I want a little more backbone to my rod personally. So I'll go to like a heavy, basically. The second bait that I would recommend, along with the jerk baits, probably pretty well recognized and pretty well recommended, but I use crankbaits. I got onto this several years ago, and I kind of thought that everybody was lying. I was like, there's no way that we're getting bass to bite a crankbait in the middle of the winter. But it's true, you can. Typically at the beginning of the winter, I use a square bill. So like right now I would, December, January, going into February, I might start switching into a lipless. And really, I think a lot of it depends on where you're fishing and just what you're comfortable with. But I use square bills for the first half. Second half of the winter, I transitioned to the lipless and I have a little more success. I don't know why. I don't know if there's anything to this. I don't know if anybody else has ever experienced the same thing. If you have, leave a comment below. Let me know I'm not crazy. But regardless, lipless cranks. And what's great about these, or not lipless cranks, just crankbaits in general. But what's great about crankbaits is that you can make them go slow. You don't have to burn them or anything like that, like you would a little more in the spring. Like in the spring and the summer, you might tear it up a little bit, go a little bit faster. But the winter, you can just kind of crawl and make sure they make steady contact with the bottom, you know, maybe let up a little bit or whatever, make it go a little slower, but you're not ripping it through the water. And I've had some pretty good success with that. So yeah, crankbaits. The third bait that we're going to talk about, the third bait that I would recommend, is a jig. Reason is jigs can get down deep. So if you're finding them offshore in some structure or whatever, you can get a jig out there and you can cast it out, get it up in some brush, especially if you've got these weed guards and all that stuff. It's pretty weedless, and you can't get hung up. You definitely can't get hung up, but it helps a little bit. But anyway, you can throw it into some structure, into some brush, whatever you got to throw it into, and you can be as slow as you want. And like I said, fish are lethargic in the winter. You can be as slow as you want with a jig. You don't have to keep it moving. You don't have to really do a whole lot of anything. Pair it up with whatever you want, whatever kind of soft plastic. Or, I mean, I guess if you really wanted to, you don't have to pair it up with soft plastic. Throw it down there, do some hops, do some drags, do whatever. Keep it nice and slow, and you'll be amazed. You'll get some bites. Some of the biggest bass that I've caught, actually, in the winter, have come from a jig, throwing it around in some brush piles and just kind of moving it along real slow and all that. And I've got some really big fish. So yeah, jig. Now the last bait that I want to talk about, and I'm sure if I had more followers, I would get quite a bit of hate for this. But if you've watched any of my videos, it just wouldn't be one of my videos without these. The last bait that we'll talk about that I've had some decent success in, or success with, I should say, ribbon tails. I talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it too much in this video, but I'm telling you, these things are super versatile. You can throw them year round, and you can get bit. Be slow, right? Be super slow. Cast it out there. Maybe don't put as heavy on the Texas rig. Maybe don't put as heavy as a weight on there, but Texas rig it, throw it out there, and just be slow and just hop it. It's super slow, just like the jig. You don't have to be super aggressive with it or anything like that. But what this allows you to do, along with the jigs, allows you to kind of get a feel for how they're reacting to stuff and how fast and aggressive they are. And yeah, throw this bad boy out there. Be super slow with it. Don't be too in a hurry or anything like that. Let them come to it and let them hit it, because they will if you play the cards right. So yeah, that's it for today. Appreciate you guys watching. Let me know down in the comments if there's a bait that I haven't mentioned here that I should definitely try this winter. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Appreciate you guys watching.